There's a story about a young boy who woke up one night in the dark and cried out for his parents. "Mommy, Daddy, please come. I'm a little scared." The mother responded by saying, "Don't worry, son. God is with you. He'll take care of you. Go back to sleep." A minute later, they heard their son's voice, "Mommy and Daddy, I think there's a monster in the corner. You'd better come quickly. I'm scared." The mother responded a second time, "Don't worry, son. God is with you. God will chase that monster away. Don't be afraid." 10 seconds later, the boy yelled back, "I know God is with me, but right now I need a little skin." Today, the church celebrates the Feast of the Annunciation, which is exactly 9 months to December 25th. And naturally and traditionally, we think of Mary when we think of this feast. But the feast is actually called the Annunciation of the Lord, which means that Mary is an important figure in this great drama. And whenever I think about the Feast of the Annunciation, it makes me realize that this was the moment in time when God put skin to his word. In other words, God loved the world so much that he realized that we needed something more than just his word. And so the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. As St. John said last Sunday, God loved the world so much that he sent his only Son into the world so that you and I might live. God put skin because God knows we needed to have his presence among us. And when I say skin, I mean more than just an outer covering like a costume. I mean total humanity. That's how God came to us. And tradition puts it, body and soul, blood and divinity, God dwelt among us. I think sometimes it's easy to forget that Mary had to wait 9 months for this promise to unfold. In March, I have been waiting for spring. Here in Boston, I have been dying for spring. I've been just eager to see a crocus pop out of the ground or a daffodil, and it still hasn't come yet. At least I haven't seen it. And perhaps you're as anxious as I am. Today, I began to have a sense that spring was on its way. When I looked at the thermometer by mid-afternoon, it had reached 55 degrees. So the anticipation of spring is growing with each day. After her encounter with the angel, Mary waited in patience for the new life of God to grow within her. This was her spring. And how does it feel when you have to wait for something? Or better yet, how does it feel when you have to wait for God to act on something that you have prayed for, or to carry out and fulfill a wish that you've been waiting for a long time? How does that feel to you, that waiting time? Because any shift in our circumstances, any change can leave us perplexed and questioning. Why? Familiar patterns are safe. And tried and trusted methods can be relied on. In this story, God is doing a new thing and asking Mary to step out of her safety zone. God does this to us all the time. Through his word, through events, God quietly beckons to us and says words like, "Come and follow me," or come and see, or come and take the risk. When did you last have to take a really big risk in your life? How did it feel? Now put yourself in Mary's shoes. How did that waiting and that risk-taking feel for Mary? Mary said yes to an invitation, seemingly convinced that Gabriel's message, which was, "The Lord is with you," was really the only thing that mattered. Yes, we're told in the gospel that she was fearful, but that fear would not simply disappear when the messenger assured her, "Do not be afraid, Mary." This would be only the beginning for Mary, the young girl who by the end of those 9 months would be turned into a woman of faith, and that faith would grow in her relationship with Christ. Of course, Mary is our model and our example as one who shows us how to faithfully respond to the Word of God in our lives. Mary's discerning response to Gabriel's announcement models for us our acceptance of God's invitation in our own unique circumstances. Are you ready? Are you fit for the task that God is inviting you to? Maybe you're asking yourself, do I deserve to be in this position? And how will it all work out? These and many similar questions, all of which focus on me, pale in comparison to the recognition and the response that it's God who is the one who is calling you. And so you and I need, like Mary, to focus not on ourselves, but to focus on the Lord who calls us. And that makes all the difference in the world. How could Mary, a teenage girl, respond adequately to this wondrous message she hears as she goes about the daily routines of her life? Again, I believe those words of Gabriel, "God is with you," was a phrase that she said to herself over and over again. And really, it's that phrase that matters the most. The carrying out of God's call is not due to any strength that Mary possesses of herself. And as was Mary, our call is to recognize that first and foremost, God is with us, and to trust in that promise despite what you may see or what failings you may think that you're having or encountering, or any hesitations that you may have. Ultimately, the carrying out of an invitation like the Annunciation to Mary depends totally on our yes.